This is my video number 1 for my chapter 2 for my sports nutrition class. So for the second chapter, module 2, week 2, it is a lot of material, what we cover in the book for chapter 2. And I'm going to try to hit the most important points and go into, I think, a level of detail that's just enough for this class and does not get into the minutia of digestion and metabolism. Well, it's really digestion and absorption, and then the second half of the chapter is metabolism. And I think I said this in my overview video for the class. If I didn't, I should have. This could literally be 2 different chapters, and in many nutrition texts, it is. So the first part of this will be the digestion half. So I'm going to go to overview. I'm going to sneak this or switch this to slide view. So a couple things you got to know about when it comes to digestion. You've got a couple tasks. For most of the things that humans eat that are whole foods, so things that don't come in a box, don't come in, they don't come in a can, they don't come in a bag. They're generally foods that are hard to break down. Meat is so hard to break down. We have to cook it, we have to roast it, we have to bake it, we have to do all sorts of things. We can age meat, beef, hams, so they internally break down on their own. It's hard to break things down, so you physically have to break food. The problem with processed food, at least for a nutrition perspective, is that it isn't hard to break down, and maybe it's too easily broken down, and perhaps our body is more able to take in nutrients and calories from processed foods than it should be. We physically can't handle it, ergo the level of obesity in the modern world. So that's the first thing. You have to break it down. And the way you're going to do that, by the way, is physical, through teeth and muscles and some pushing and squeezing, and chemical, through acid, stomach acid, and these protein molecules we call enzymes, which are basically protein molecules that break stuff. Right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is to realize that some things aren't breakable. You're never going to break them down. If you look into plants, there's carbohydrates, and they are carbohydrates, and they're made of sugar, just like starches, called fiber. Everyone should know this by now. And fiber is, for the most part, undigestible. We do not have the enzymes to break it. And if you took my nutrition class, you'd realize very few things on the planet have the enzymes to break wood. Even termites, which eat wood, don't have the enzymes to break it. They use internal pathogens like bacteria and other hosts, and they host other living things to help them break down fiber. Cows don't have one stomach. Cows have many stomachs because it's hard for a cow to break down grass. Okay, so the first part is mastication. You chew food to open up food. Think of an almond. If you don't open up an almond, if you swallow an almond, you will poop an almond. It's that simple. The outside is made of fiber. That almond skin is a sheath of wood, essentially. And if you don't chew it open, you won't get to the inside. So to masticate, to chew, is really to get to the insides of foods, where all the good stuff is. And then, in the mouth at least, right, we dump on enzymes. We lubricate food when we chew it. We dump on enzymes, we break it down, we swallow it. We get it into the small intestine, we break it down, we ship it, and we store it for energy. So here's the GI tract pretty quickly. The things that we cover in this class are the mouth, the esophagus. Now the windpipe is the trachea. Here's the esophagus. Hits the stomach. Food lasts in the stomach 1 to 3 hours, maybe longer. Processed carbohydrates break down quickly and are pushed out of the stomach fairly quickly. Things like fat and animal protein are harder to digest, therefore spend longer amounts of time in the stomach. What leaves the stomach is actually called chyme. It's an acidic mixture of chopped up food, or I should say mashed up food, that enters the small intestine, small by diameter, so it's like a PVC pipe that you landscape your yard with, you irrigate your yard with, but it's about 20 feet long. So small by diameter, long by length. And it needs to be long because food isn't just breaking down in the small intestine, it's being absorbed in the small intestine. What pretty much doesn't get absorbed is dietary fiber, not all the minerals you consume, not all the water you consume. So that soupy mix, which is nutrient poor, because usually if you if you eat something as a human, it's going to get into the body. It's going to be absorbed in the small intestine. That soupy mix shows up at the large intestine, large by diameter, but about 3 to 5 feet long. And then what happens in the large intestine is the finishing. In reality, what we really want from whatever's left over in the large intestine is the fluid. We want that water back. Water that you consumed and water that you participated with in the digestive process. And then pretty much what leaves the body is a little bit of fluid, dead bacteria, that's the bulk of your waste, and dietary fiber. That's about it. Everything else pretty much gets in. We're pretty good at this. We're at the top of the food chain for a reason. Okay, let's look at the mouth. So in the mouth, you're going to chew food. You're going to open it up. You're going to add a little bit of enzyme. Now, the enzyme that we have for food in the mouth is carbohydrate enzymes and fat enzymes. We actually do not chemically break protein, meat, beef, tofu, soybean, whatever. We don't break that in the mouth. We start on things that we can break, which is fat and carbohydrate. So if you were to eat a cracker, sounds weird, and you left it in your mouth long enough, the enzymes in your saliva would take all those big chains of starch, kind of big giant carbohydrate molecules, break them down into little baby sugars, and the longer a saltine cracker stays in your mouth, eventually your mouth will recognize a sweet sensation as those little baby sugars land on your tongue. We're gonna chew this food with saliva. We're gonna mix it up into a little ball called a bolus. We're going to lubricate that with some saliva as well, and that's what we swallow, a bolus. A bolus goes from the mouth down the esophagus into the stomach, and the stomach is a very strange place, and we're going to talk about that in the second video.